Hey, it's Bige and Nichole with another episode of Your LexPD.
This month we're going to be talking about, let me see if I can guess, traffic.
Yes.
I know we had talked about motors before back in one of the previous episodes, but we're going to be talking about the entire traffic section this month. And that, it impacts so many different people in so many different ways. Traffic impacts everybody. And you know me, I'm always looking at history. The traffic section actually goes all the way back to 1901 in Lexington. And unfortunately, it stemmed out of a tragedy. There was a buggy and a team of horses that got loose down at Broadway in Maine, downtown, and actually cost the life of a young girl. And so that's they came up right after that and said, we need some traffic officers. That's in 1901. So they started putting them at corners downtown, and there's been different versions of traffic over the years. Probably 1912, something like that, they started the motor unit, and that was the first motor unit, I guess, in Kentucky. With that, they used Indian motorcycles back then. And then we fast forward to the 60s, they started utilizing radar in Lexington. And then from there, the 1970s, late 70s, Chief Walsh, which at the time was Lieutenant Larry Walsh, was over the traffic unit. He brought in the safety officer program, and it kind of resembled what we have today as traffic. So we're going to go visit the lieutenants in the traffic section, the sergeants in the traffic section, and find out what they do to help keep you and us safe every single day in Lexington.
Hey, we are back and we are here with Lieutenant Jeremiah Davis and Chris Van Brackle. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you all tell us when you came on the department?
So I started January 98. And I started in March of 2005.
All right, well, talking about traffic is something that impacts everyone. So you all have a pretty important job, right? So we want to ask you a few of the things that you all work with as far as traffic, some of the things that you deal with on a daily basis. We're going to be talking in just a few minutes with some of your sergeants about the specific subsections within the unit, but tell us about some of the major things that you deal with as far as lieutenants.
So the responsibilities for my side of traffic involve, first and foremost, the special event planning. Here in Lexington, we do about 85 events a year where the police department's involved in traffic control. Some of them small, some of them very large, the largest being July 4th, over 200-person deployment to make the July 4th parade and Bluegrass 10,000 happen. I also have our collision reconstruction unit, our hit and run detectives, as well as our logistics section.
So, and then I have the 20 safety officers and then the selective enforcement unit. So the safety officers will handle collisions, parking complaints, direct traffic. The selective enforcement unit is primarily enforcement of the traffic laws throughout Lexington. The selective enforcement, two main things. We are complaint driven for complaints of speeding, stop sign violations. We also every month I generate a list of the top 5 intersections collision-wise for a month. So the selective enforcement unit will go out and do specific enforcement at those 5 intersections, and we're trying to drive down the number of collisions there.
Now, besides collisions, one of the complaints that we get on patrol is people running red lights. Yes. What constitutes running a red light?
So actually for running a red light, the statute says you can't enter the intersection after the light turns red. So what we're looking for in that situation is on the roadway, in most intersections, you have the big white, what we call a stop bar, white line. So an officer that is out enforcing red light running at that intersection, just like a basketball referee watching the shot clock, you watch the light turn red and then you look at the stop bar. And if a car has not yet reached the stop bar and continues through, then that is a violation of the red light.
All right, well, you all have got a big responsibility because, again, traffic impacts everyone every single day in one way or another. And whether it is just going to work or going to school and somebody running a red light, speeding, or whether it's you're going to a major event, which we have so many of them, as you said, here in Lexington, it's going to be something that impacts everybody. So we appreciate all your all's work, and we're looking forward to going now and talking to some of the sergeants and about some of the specialized sections within the traffic section. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're back, and we're here with Sergeant Gary Thurman. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we had just talked to your lieutenants about some of the things that the traffic section does. So what are you over?
So I'm the supervisor of the motor squad and the selective enforcement unit.
Okay, so what does that entail?
So the selective enforcement unit is the primary unit of the department that does speed enforcement, red light enforcement, primarily writing tickets out on New Circle Road, the interstate. We receive all the complaints. That also ties into the motor squad. They are a big part of the selective enforcement unit when we have areas where our vehicles may not be able to sit to look for speeders or red light runners. We put the motorcycles out there.
All right, well, I know we did a whole episode on the motor unit.
Yes.
We had fun with that. Larry Wilcox joined us. You were involved with that, Gary. And that goes all the way back, the motor unit goes all the way back to 1912 when they got the first motorcycle here in Lexington. So how many folks do you have right now on motors, and what all do you use those for other than the selective enforcement that you talked about?
Right now we have 11 motors. 3 of those are part-time riders, which they are from patrol. The rest of them are actually full-time traffic officers. But we work all the special events in town, from parades to 5Ks and half marathons. Just about every event that you see going on in town, we have motorcycles there.
Well, we see them all the time at the events, and sometimes we see them all the time on New Circle Road too, right? So make sure you're watching your speed out there. So Gary, thanks for joining us this month, and stay safe on the motor out there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are here with Sergeant Brady Moravchik. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So talk to us a little bit about what you do in the traffic as a supervisor, in the traffic section as a supervisor. What are you over technically?
I am over the drug recognition expert program, and I also oversee the safety officers within our traffic unit.
All right, so when we talk about DUIs, driving under the influence, it's pretty complex, right?
Yes.
And things have changed considerably over the years. So tell us a little bit about this DRE program and how that works.
Most commonly when people think about DUIs or driving impaired, we all think about alcohol. We don't think about people that are impaired on prescription medication or marijuana or any, illicit drugs or anything like that. Our drug recognition experts go through a rigorous 3-week class to certify them to become drug recognition experts. And our drug recognition experts respond to calls all over the city, whether it be a DUI that our officers are trying to figure out whether this person's impaired by alcohol or impaired by something else. And through the training that our drug recognition experts go through, they can determine whether a person is impaired by a certain type of drug, or how it affects their body, or how it affects their driving abilities and things like that. Our drug recognition experts are very, very well trained. They go through a lot to keep up their certifications, and their main goal is to remove people from the highways that are affecting our drivers, and to reduce the injuries and fatalities to our citizens as they drive through our county.
Very important, something that impacts every single one of us. So how many of those of the safety officers do you have now, and what all do they do?
So currently we have 22 safety officers, and we hire safety officers, on a consistent basis. Our safety officer program is one of the select few in the state, and our safety officers do many things on a daily basis. They could start off their morning in a school zone, directing our kids to get our kids safely to schools. They could be directing traffic when our signals go bad. They could be working any non-injury collision or an injury collision. They respond to both of those, and they take collision reports. With them taking collision reports, it allows our patrol officers to provide more services to the city. So those safety officers take those types of calls off of the sworn units from our agency and allow them to be more responsive to those active calls that those officers need to take. With the safety officers also help us at events. We coordinate lots of events such as football games, concerts, anything that you might see that has a large traffic impact on our city. You're going to see the safety officers along with the traffic unit as well.
Well, not only, like you said, does it help the officers get the calls quicker because they're maybe not going to the collisions and the traffic complaints and so forth. But it also means that the public is getting a quicker response too, because we have more people out there that are responding to collisions and things like that.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. Well, we appreciate you joining us this month.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm
and
happy to
thank
be
all
here.
that you do for Lexington Police Department.
Thank you.
And we are back, and we are here with Sergeant Nick Gray with the traffic section. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So can you tell us what you do with the department?
So I oversee our collision reconstruction unit, the school crossing guards, our CMV inspectors, and hit and run unit.
Okay. So you mentioned collision reconstruction unit. What does that unit do?
So the collision reconstruction unit goes out and investigates any collision that results in a fatality or serious physical injuries, which a fatality may result as of those injuries.
There's a lot involved in that and a lot of training involved in that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's 6 basic weeks to just barely scratch the surface of what we do. But that's the minimum that any investigator has to have.
But that's important because obviously we want somebody's family to have the absolute best investigation as possible if they experience a tragedy like that. So,
absolutely.
Very good. Now, you also mentioned school crossing guards. We got those obviously all over the city. That's probably, I'm assuming you're always taking applications
Absolutely.
for that as well?
Yes.
And what were a couple of the other things that you mentioned, the commercial vehicles?
Commercial motor vehicle inspectors and hit and run unit, yes. Yep.
And hit and run, I was talking to some of the hit and run detectives a couple of weeks ago, and I had no idea how many hit and runs that we have. They were talking about the hundreds that we have every month, and that really shocked me. So they stay busy with that.
I think they average between 200 and 300 a month.
Yeah.
Yes. We take reports for those all the time.
Something that's obviously helped them out, I'm sure, is technology too. That's made a big difference with that. And then the commercial vehicles and the commercial vehicle enforcement. So what does that entail?
So those inspectors go through about 2 weeks of training, and then we hold some monthly trainings periodically through the year. They go out and inspect any commercial motor vehicle, whether it be a semi, straight truck, whatever it is, to ensure safety, that they're following the guidelines, to make sure that they're safe to be on the road, the truck and the driver.
Okay. And unfortunately, sometimes we find they're not.
Yeah, oh yeah, all the time.
They actually will park them if they're unsafe to make sure that they're not impacting somebody's family out there, right? All right, well, you wear a lot of hats with the Lexington Police Department traffic section, and we certainly, Nick, appreciate everything that you do. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Bige, it was so good talking to the traffic section about everything that they do.
They do so much, and like we said many times, traffic is something that truly impacts everyone every single day, whether you're a pedestrian on a bicycle, in a car, on a bus, going to school, going to work, it impacts everybody.
It impacted me getting here this morning.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it was funny because you called and said, hey, I'm stuck in traffic. And I said, what are we talking about? Traffic. So,
But can you guess what we're talking about next month?
I'm hearing something, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe we're going to be talking about
small unmanned aircraft systems, better known as drones.
Drones. Well, so many episodes we've talked about technology and how technology is impacting law enforcement and how our agency is using technology to help serve the people of Lexington every single day. So next month, we're going to be talking about drones and all the different ways that we utilize those, whether it's collision reconstruction, whether it's on patrol, whether it's in specialized units. Drones are definitely a major tool out there in law enforcement today. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that program.
So join us next month for
Your LexPD.